And so the traditional approach has always been, again, that you have the world is divided up into 10 regions. Let's say the South America region, the North American. We have about, the North American free trade. We have all these things that are happening, whether it's Africa, you can see the different unions. Even BRICS is now the new. European Union has come to play, Asian Pacific Union. So you see all these different unions. And what has happened, the Bible doesn't say that there are 10 regions. It said that there's 10 kings, 10 figures. So that's very, very specific. And so in thinking about this and analyzing, okay, does the traditional approach, is that what it says? Is it said 10 regions? Because these regions, they, like, for example, Mexico, United States, and Canada, there's no doubt that people have talked about joining together in one unified, not only economic system, but a political system. And so the typical approach has been, eventually they're going to be not only economically unified, they're going to be politically unified. And then you're going to have one king or one president or prime minister over all three of those countries, which have now been unified under one umbrella. Well, that sounds great on paper, but the Bible doesn't necessarily teach that. It just says you have 10 figures. And so let me say this, and then I want to pass it back to you, because one of the things that your article was so good, because you brought up the idea that could they be technocrats, leaders or people who are using technology to influence the world. Oligarchs, technocratic oligarchs. Oligarch means to be ruled by a few.
Yes.
But the key thing, when I read your article, I was like, you know what? And you and I talked about it. I said, I want to run with this a little bit. And so I began to research this. And then I looked at the Greek word basileus. It's the Greek word for king. It says here 10 kings. And so I thought, okay, well, that's pretty strong. King has a kingdom. A king has a geographical region. So when I looked up the word in the BDAG lexicon, which is the greatest lexicon, far better than Strong's. Strong's is older, and so we just know more now than Strong's. But in BDAG, they look at all the uses of the Greek words in the time before the first century all the way up until the 6th century or so. One of the things that they say in there is that the Greek word basileus is not just a king of a kingdom, but in its second entry it says, hey, this word is used also of someone who demonstrates unusual or transcendent power or influence. And I thought, whoa. So we have someone here that the biblical interpretation doesn't necessarily be a king over a kingdom. It can be someone who demonstrates unusual power or capability or influence that is not a leader, is not a governmental leader. That's the key.
A name pops into my head, Klaus Schwab. He's on the front pages all over the world. And he certainly has power. As you're talking, I'm looking at Revelation chapter 17, which sort of reiterates what Daniel is saying. And there's a statement here in Revelation 17:12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with peace. Now, that says exactly what you were talking about. They don't have authority over a nation, but they have power. They have authority.
And just for the sake of context, read verse 13, because I think that really is...
These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Now, to have one mind, there's a concept there. And, AI pops into my head. And because everybody's talking these days about artificial intelligence and the role that it will play in global government, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And that this idea of authority and one mind and the idea of controlling thought on a global level is, I think, at the heart of all this.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that struck me was, again, your discussion about influence or these technocratic oligarchs.
Yeah.
But verse 12 solves it. I mean, verse 12 of Revelation 17 says, so clearly, these are 10 kings or 10 figures, 10 leaders. The idea that the word I use is influencers. These are 10 people that have power and authority, as verse 13 says. Power, and the word authority there can be capability. They have power and capability. Well, it says here, I mean, I don't know how much clearer it can be. They have no kingdom. These are kings without a kingdom. That's what's unique about them, is they aren't ruling over South America. That would be a kingdom. They're not ruling over North America. That'd be a kingdom. Or Asia. These are 10 kings that don't have a kingdom until they begin to rule with the Antichrist for that 1 hour, or for the beast. But notice what it says there. Like you said, they have one mind, and they give their power and authority over to the beast. So in thinking about an influencer, you mentioned Klaus Schwab as an example, and we think about Klaus, they spend $1 billion a year on promoting a world government, other things. And here's the question. They have 1,400 young global leaders in their schools over the years. They put all them into positions of authority, Trudeau, example, in Canada. So you have all these people that have gone through their schooling in order to promote a one world government system, and then they go and they be politicians or they become a part of government, etc. But what I like to think about is, here's a guy that has tremendous power and influence and capability, and he has said very clearly in his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, as well as The Great Reset, that they are going to implement their world government through technology. So here's again, we have the technocratic part of it. But here's the question. For as much influence and power that he has over all these different people in the world, what's his position? Does he have a government position? No.
No.
Is he a mayor? Is he a governor of a state? Is he a prime minister? 0, 0, 0. He is none of these things. He is, in one sense, an influencer, or a king without a kingdom. He's an influencer without a kingdom, without a geographical or a governmental position. I find this interesting that what you saw there as these technocratic oligarchs goes right in line with what we're seeing in Revelation 17. Now, if we go back 100 years, all we thought about, or even to the time of the Club of Rome, in the 50s and 60s or 70s, all we thought about was government officials.
That's right.
But now we're living in the age of, and in the presentation I gave recently, these guys, like, for example, Elon Musk as an example, he went from 29 billion of value of net worth in 2020 to, at the end of 24, he's worth close to 250 billion. So these guys have tremendous wealth that is beyond comprehension, and all of these guys, Bezos, Page, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Schwab, not only are they rich, wealthy, and powerful and capable, but they are 100% dedicated to technology. So let's talk about some of those technologies. Talk about artificial intelligence. I mean, what are the technologies that you see would be very helpful to an Antichrist?
Well, an Antichrist would have to be able to control thought. That's the number one idea that's expressed all the way through the Bible. And receiving everybody's talked about the mark of the beast forever. And what is the mark of the beast? Well, it's a mark of enslavement, but it seems to be something technological. People have speculated that mark that you receive in your right hand may be something that's injected under the skin, and actually interacts with your thinking and links you electronically to a global government. And there's essentially 24/7 control, which is only one step beyond the device that we all carry around right now. We're carrying around that device, and we can talk to anybody in the whole world. All we have to do is just say, call so-and-so. And one can imagine that the Antichrist picks up on this idea and takes it a step further using modern technology, electronics, subcutaneous implants, et cetera, et cetera. And so when I hear about that, I think about regulation. I think about, when I wrote the article, I noted that we have 10 kings. Why 10 kings? And it should come as no surprise to anybody that's read the Bible that the number 10 is used as an emblem. It means perfection of order. If you have 10 of something in the Bible, like the 10 Commandments, and that's a group, and wherever you find 10s in the Bible, you find perfection and order. In other words, lockstep in a way. You do this because you need to do this, you have to do this, and that's the whole Antichrist theme, which I believe is going to come out of the consolidation of the 10 kings.